But I suppose, Sean, we're in the situation currently where the number of attendances, particularly in 2026 thus far, have been particularly high. Between the 2nd and 11th of January, we saw 27% more patients than we did in the same period last year. And on Tuesday last week, we had a 61% increase in the number of attendances. In the last 24 hours here, we saw 310 patients. And I expect that our number will be higher than that today.
So this isn't your typical winter overcrowding. This is a significant increase on last year.
This is a significant increase on last year. The hospital has made moves to increase capacity by culling down elective activity over the Christmas period, and that's been further augmented for the coming days, thus allowing us to try and move patients to beds when they're available. But despite that, we still have high numbers attending ED, some of which could be managed elsewhere. And I suppose hence our advice for people to look in the first instance to see if they can see their GP, they can attend their local pharmacy, particularly for minor flu-like illness. But obviously then we have Seán in the region for out-of-hours primary care. We have walk-in clinics, we have urgent care with VHI and Leah, and then we have our injury units in the Model 2 hospitals, St John's, Ennis and Nina, as you're well aware.
We're a few months on now from the opening of the first 96-bed block at UHL. Has that had any positive impact? It doesn't seem to have had.
No, it's definitely had an impact, and we've noticed our figures on a daily basis for people awaiting admission in ED have decreased. But it's been identified that we need more capacity and more beds, and so it'll be over the next couple of years that we see an improvement there. So it has had an impact, but no one expected to have a dramatic impact because at the end of the day, it's only 96 beds when in fact we need somewhere in the region of 300.
Working on site there at UHL, Damien, do you see much scope for expansion there? Indeed, we've heard plenty of campaign groups talk about the major parking problem there, and their contention is that there's almost a ceiling to how much more you can boost the capacity at UHL.
Yeah, there is capacity for additional beds on site. Obviously parking is an issue, but parking is a challenge that can be overcome. There is additional capacity available. Plus, the HICWA report has identified and recommended additional spaces as well to be considered for hospitals. So we'll have to see how that looks over the coming years.
Just to return to the nub of this point, really, the public is being urged to consider all other options. So what options would you advise people to opt for if they find themselves in need of urgent or emergency care?
Well, I suppose firstly, the role of an emergency department is to deal with emergencies, and that's why people end up waiting, Sean. But, we focus on the sickest first. So if you have a less urgent problem, you should consider attending your general practitioner or a local pharmacy in the first instance. As mentioned, Seán provide the out-of-hours service. But, there are other options available. There are walk-in clinics. VHI and Leah have urgent care clinics. The medical assessment unit can be accessed via your GP if you have a medical complaint, either in St John's, Ennis or Nina. And similarly, the injury units are available on a walk-in basis for people with minor injuries. We'd always encourage people to check the HSE website in the first instance for advice, or if unsure, ring the relevant unit. All the units, particularly in Ennis, St John's and Nina, are available to give advice and determine whether your complaint is suitable to be managed there.
And just finally, Damien, how long would you expect this particular notice to be in place for, and when would you imagine that things will return to normal, or as close to normal as they can get?
I would hope this will settle maybe after next weekend, but that is somewhat hopeful as opposed to definitive. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely for the next few days we'll expect to have continued high numbers attending the emergency services in the region.